Good afternoon. Welcome to the Committee on Education. We are in conference room 229. We have two agendas this afternoon. One is very quick. The first agenda is Senate Bill 2257. The purpose of this is decision-making to insert substantive provisions into the following short-form bill, and a public hearing will be scheduled at a later date, at which point testimony will be accepted. And members, this is Senate Bill 2257 with the proposed SD1, and recommendation is to adopt the proposed SD1. Questions, members?
For the vote, Senate Bill 2257 to amend to an SD1, the chair votes aye. The chair votes aye. Senator Favela.
Aye.
Senator Richards, Senator Hashimoto holds excused. Recommendations adopted.
Thank you. Moving on to the second agenda. Okay, again, this is the Committee on Education. We are on our second agenda here in room 229. And it is Wednesday, February 7th, 3:00 p.m. agenda. Starting with Senate Bill 2061 relating to the school bus driver certification subsidy pilot program. Okay. We have to testify Superintendent Hayashi.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Kurt Otoguro, Deputy Superintendent, testifying on behalf of the Department of Education. You have our testimony. We stand on the written testimony, which provides comments on this measure. I'd like to add that we truly appreciate the legislation's attempt to help us with the bus driver shortage, and we appreciate the generosities that you've provided so far. We are down at one point as many as 208 drivers from pre-pandemic, and so this is a challenge for all of us, so we appreciate the efforts in front of us. Happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, members. Questions?
I go after.
Sure.
Can you ask after the
Okay.
other testifier? Can you ask after the next testifier?
Oh, okay. Let's hear all the testimony first.
I think you have the thing.
Where's my list of testifiers? Okay,
Only one? Oh, all present. Okay.
okay, Kurt. Thank you, Kurt.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. So appreciate we're trying to get the school bus. You know, Big Island, we've had a lot of trouble getting kids to school. And the school drivers are contracted out. How is that going to fit, and how does this all work?
Currently, we have, in the current contract, which expires on 6/30 of this year, we have 8 bus contractors that divvy up throughout the state. And so by island, by route, the bus providers bid for and are awarded those routes. Effective July 1st of this year, we will enter into a new contract term, which will be good for up to 7 years. And in that contract, we will be down to 3 bus providers.
Okay.
And so we work with the bus providers to establish those routes that they contract for.
Okay, Big Island is big, and so we have trouble getting our kids to school. So thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Next question.
So Kurt, right now, you have 8 bus contracts.
That's correct.
And you're saying July 1, 2024, you already went out to bid and you only have 3 bus providers?
3 providers.
So there are only 3 that applied, or only 3, or you negotiated with?
3 that applied.
And those 3 you did. So what happened? It's just a shortage, other.
Shortage, there's some that will be consolidated and some just didn't bid.
Okay, so how does this measure help get more if you can't get them?
We have worked with the 3 providers. 2 of them are the largest ones in the state. And we've met with the principals of each company to be assured that they have sufficient drivers to do that. Even the 3rd company, which is smaller, they've assured us that through some kind of merger, they will get more drivers focusing on Kauai.
Yeah, but what does exactly, so when you negotiated these contracts, you didn't have this measure?
We didn't have this measure.
Right, so,
Yes. So how would this measure help?
yeah, I mean, so, yeah.
Yeah, this measure, and that's why we provided comments. It's a little more complex than that. A certification process for drivers.
Right.
They're not our employees, first of all, at the state.
Right.
What has helped the contractors has been additional subsidies that we've provided to them so they can compensate their drivers more. So as you know, the CDL license is a process. To drive passengers, you have to have a P designation, and then to get schools, you have an S designation on top of a P. And so that's a laborious process that takes some time. But so certifying more drivers or attracting more drivers is really the issue. The industry is faced with retirements, as you know, and in order of importance or preference, I should say, obviously driving tour buses is what attracts most, and then school buses, and then, of course, the special extracurricular activities. But there's no magic silver bullet, I don't think, that's going to provide just people to encourage. We're going to have to work with these bus providers to find ways to incent. This may be one, but it's not the cure-all, as you're alluding to. It's not.
Okay, so this is a 1-year bus driver certification subsidy pilot program. So how much is in that 1 year? What are we actually subsidizing?
The dollar amount, I don't have that number.
So what would be a dollar amount that's going to attract them is what I'm trying to find out. I mean,
Okay.
to just say that we're gonna have a subsidy, we hope it's gonna be attractive. I mean, it has to be built. The
Sure,
basis
we can
has
get
to
a
be
per
the
hour.
something.
We can base it on the classes themselves. We can base it on a per hour. So we'll come back to you with that.
Yeah, but is
number.
that enough to attract them? I mean, are we just spinning our wheels here? If not enough people even apply already or want to play because they want to be tour bus drivers because they probably get tips from the tour. I don't know what it is that might attract them. But if you don't have the bodies to begin with, I'm not sure how adding, and I don't know again how much money you're gonna add, that all of a sudden the guy can say, hey, yeah, now they're gonna get, $25 more, I'm gonna go certify and be a bus driver.
You're right. I will get that information for you. I don't know what the magic number is to say that from a per hour to a different per hour will convince them to drive. It may attract drivers that have retired, that want to come back. But this is a challenging profession. This is a challenging industry across, as you know, across the country.
Right. So I'm just trying to put my
okay.
handle on what
dollar
is it
amount.
that we can do constructively that's gonna attract the bus drivers instead of just throwing stuff that we think, oh yeah, this might help, oh yeah, this might help. But how do we know? I mean, we don't know how much they're gonna get. I don't know what level they're gonna get it at, 1 year only. So you give them for 1 year, then they're gonna quit after the 1 year.
Yeah, it's a multi-prong approach. It's a challenge to drive school buses. It's a lot of liability, as you know.
Well, it's hard to get security guards.
Yes.
I mean, we're facing the same situation, so.
Yes.
I just hope you guys have more of a plan as to how we're gonna get more bus drivers than just saying we're gonna do a pilot project and have a certification subsidy that is not even articulated.
I might add, Senator, that this is not the DOE's bill.
I know, but whenever they come and testify in support, then you gotta have reasons why you're supporting it.
Because the
Solid
senator
reasons.
requested it.
Yeah. Because
We will-
money is involved and that
Yes.
money could be spent better some other way that we could attract bus drivers.
We'll come up with numbers. Everything can help. Anything can help at this point.
Oh,
Yeah,
That's true for everything,
Yeah,
right?
yes.
We don't have money to
No.
everything can help.
yes,
right?
yes.
We have to prioritize.
Further questions? Thank you. Is anyone else here wishing to testify on this bill? Okay, if there's no further testimony, we're moving on to Senate Bill 3328, relating to education, clarifies the Department of Education's authority to oversee public education facilities and real estate development, establishes the Office of Facilities and Real Estate Development and Office of School Operations and Services, repeals the School Facilities Authority, reorganizes the Department of Education's organizational structure for facilities and real estate development. Okay. Here to testify on this measure? Anyone?
Haruki, Hayashi,
Oh, Warren,
and Horiyoshi.
thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair Kidani, Vice Chair Kim, Senator Richards. My name is Warren Haruki, Chair of the Board of Education. We strongly support this measure as it provides greater clarity regarding the Department of Education's authority over facilities. I'm here to answer any questions that you might have on this measure.
Questions, members?
Yeah, can we wait till all the testimonies? Let Warren's go for a while. No, you can. No, you can come back.
Okay.
Yeah, I have questions.
Thank you. Next to testify, Superintendent, please.
Aloha, Chair Kidani, Vice Chair Kim, members of the committee, Keith Hayashi, Superintendent, testifying on behalf of the Department of Education. The department stands on its written testimony in support of this measure. While we are aware that we have improvements to make in the area of facilities, the department has already started a comprehensive review of our facilities operations to make sure we serve our schools as effectively and cost efficiently as possible. This internal review began late in 2023, and our overall aim is to index and manage land, facilities, and funding resources available for public education, and to create an integrated and efficient process for putting those resources to use. I am definitely committed to this effort. We are fortunate to be working with the Board of Education and industry advisors to accomplish this with a sense of urgency. The department does have one request, that is to be allowed to use its existing processes to accomplish the needed reorganization and realignment rather than having it be implemented through statute. Thank you very much for the opportunity to testify.
Thank you. Members, questions? Anyone else here to testify on this measure?
Yes.
Oh, I thought you were on Zoom.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, thank you. Good afternoon, Chair Kidani, Vice Chair Kim, members, and Horiuchi, Department of the Attorney General. Just to highlight one point from our testimony, the department does object to new section 302A-B, paragraph 6 on page 11, lines 5 through 11. This would allow the new Office of Facilities and Real Estate Development to retain private counsel. As we noted in our testimony, we believe the department is best suited to provide legal advice to the state clients on a broad array of matters, and therefore, as a general matter, state agencies are best served by deputy attorneys general. To the extent that there are certain matters that might require attorneys with specific kind of experience, the Attorney General can already appoint special deputy attorneys general who can address specific issues as they arise. So we believe that the provision on page 11, lines 5 through 11 is unnecessary because we already have the special deputy process. I'll be available for questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, questions?
Yeah, questions for both the chair of the superintendent. So first, superintendent, you mentioned something about allowing folks to implement this without the statute. Are you able to do that? Doesn't the statute created the SFA?
Thank you very much for the question, Vice Chair. When I was testifying, I was referring to the portion of the bill that spoke to the reorganization, and so that if the department would be then allowed to implement that process through our
So you
own
don't want-
efforts.
You don't want us to dictate what that process is?
We would be very appreciative of that, yes.
Okay, I thought you were referring to the whole thing. Okay, what about what was brought up by the Attorney General as far as utilization of general counsel?
I believe in that section, Senator, it does refer to let's see, I'm sorry, on page 11, begins on line 5. I believe the wording is that we would, independent Attorney General to provide legal services solely in cases of negotiations in which the Attorney General, lacks of sufficient expertise in that area, but we do know that they have expertise in many areas. But also, we would consult, consult and work in conjunction with the designated Deputy Attorney General.
But they already would, if they don't have the expertise, they could already go out and get somebody, and they probably have more knowledge as to what are some of these law firms that would have that expertise. So,
In any situation, Senator, we definitely would be working with the Department of the Attorney General.
so if we strike this out and say that the Attorney General's office would work with you in determining if they don't have the qualifications on an outside counsel that they would then employ or contract with, because that monies would then come out of the AG. If you leave it in here, you're gonna be hooked for all those costs. You realize that?
No, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, you could hire your own outside counsel and you guys gotta pay.
Right, yes.
Yeah, and so, anyway, okay. So, Mr. Rookie, are you guys aware of what, I know this is not your measure, and I tend to agree with this measure too, to set that straight. But why we went to SFA to begin with?
Why did the Senate, why did the legislature go there?
To SFA?
I think like many things, these adjunct agencies are created because of some failure of an existing department not doing their job. So the thinking is, let's create another one. And this one puts it back, Humpty Dumpty back again. There's a lot of statutory overlap between what DOE is responsible for and what SFA is responsible for. So this helps to clarify that or eliminate that. And if you just go back in the past year and you look at what SFA has done and was funded for, the 11 pre-K classrooms were essentially done by the DOE. And as of yesterday, because of the resignation of the prior executive director and the naming of a new interim, the department entered into a new MOA with SFA to basically say that the next cohort of 55 would be handled by the DOE. So, as Superintendent mentioned, we have our own set of issues, but with respect to doing pre-K, we've essentially done it. and we know how to do this. So I'm not too concerned about taking on that.
Yeah, and I happen to agree, but my whole point is that we moved from DAGs to DOE, and then from DOE to SFA because there was a lack of, I don't know what it is, that people were not happy with.
Right.
Which caused the body to decide on them. Now, if SFA is not doing it, so now they go back and put it back into
Yes.
DOE, which where it was to begin with.
Right.
And only, are we gonna encounter similar?
No, I think
you know what I'm
right
saying?
now,
So it's
yeah, I
like-
understand what you're saying. That's very,
Because I was concerned at first when we did the SFA, and you know, only to come full circle
Mm-hmm.
to see, you know, yeah, I mean,
I think that that's a real concern. We do have issues, as you have heard, with lapsing and other issues. But this bill also enables us to have clarity, and it also encourages the reorganization. It also specifies that we can go ahead and hire the appropriate exempt positions.
so you didn't have clarity before? Is that what you're telling me, that when it came over to you guys, you didn't have clarity and you didn't have the, I mean, you had the total sole complete control over it, you could have reorganized however way you wanted, right?
Yeah,
But
and
that
I'm not
didn't
saying
take
that
place.
this is not a situation of saying, here, we're all good.
No, I know, but I'm just saying that it wasn't good. You had all the ability to do what we're trying to do in this bill back then. We created SFA, probably, you know, not because folks agreed to it, but because people were not happy.
Right.
We created SFA, no, we're not happy with SFA, now it's gonna go back to the same entity that could have done all of this that didn't. So what are we assured of? Because I don't wanna be here 3 years from now saying we gotta create another entity.
Right, this allows us to move forward with clarity, statutory clarity. We still have our own issues to deal with. We have created, the superintendent has a multi-phase plan to do a comprehensive relook at overall real estate. And many of the phases of the plan have begun. We have a new AS that's in charge of facilities. We realize that there needs to be statutory changes like this. We may need to seek county building permit exemptions. We may need to look at Board of Education policies or DOE policies, many different things. The legislature can also assist because of how capital improvement budgets come as a line item. So we have a specific dollar amount. And with the rampant inflation that we have experienced over the last 3-4 years, you know, we have an inadequate amount of funds to do the projects. So there's many different aspects, but we recognize that there is a problem and we have a comprehensive approach to doing this. The reorganization is very helpful. Superintendent says he wants to do it not within statute, but the statute is actually saying, you go ahead and do this, and actually it's a creation of a new assistant superintendent of, I call it OFRED, you know, and a secretary that's put in here, appropriated for that, funded. So that's a good thing.
So when we created SFA, did we take any positions away from DOE? When you had SFA?
I believe, Senator, 7 positions from facilities
Went over to
were
SFA?
designated for SFA.
Okay.
I will double check on that for you, though.
So with this SFA moving over back, are you inheriting back those 7 positions or
No,
whatever
no,
positions
no, this
FSA
is-
has?
That's contained in the back of this.
How many positions does SFA have?
On page 32, there's a paren 33 that is struck, the executive director and 7 full-time administrative positions with the SFA.
Okay, so you don't get any of them, and you're asking for about 2 positions for
Right,
secretary?
right.
Okay, thank you.
Members?
This is probably echoing a little bit of what the senator just was talking about. On the Big Island, we had DAGs taking care of maintenance for most things. I don't understand why a few things were carved out, like the refrigeration and the freezer you and I, superintendent, talked about. Okay, so we put this back together. How does this work on the Big Island? Will this be statewide or will this be Oahu? and then the neighbor islands will be different? How is this going to work?
Currently, thank you very much for the question, Senator. Currently, as we're talking with the refrigeration, we do have a service level agreement with Department of Accounting and General Services, which designates whether it's DOE or DAGS that's responsible for certain repair and maintenance efforts within schools. At this point, that service level agreement would still be in effect, but we definitely will be open to discussions in relation to the overall.
So this would be primarily for Oahu then?
Primarily, however, initially, I do believe, though, that we would need to continue to explore additional options. What is really has been wonderful is that Comptroller Regan has, we've been working together between DAGS and the DOE. We've gone and visited Hawaii Island, and actually we're able to take care of one project and assess others. DAGS has been a very valued partner in that effort, and we look forward to expanding on that relationship, not only on Hawaii Island and build on the successes on Kauai, and but also address the issues on Maui.
Okay, so specifically, the Waimea Elementary School has a refrigeration freezer problem that's
Yes.
responsibility of DOE, not DAGS.
Yes.
That's a 2017 distinction. So where are we going to be with this? Is this going to be delayed? Because that's really need to get going.
Great. I can speak with you offline on that, Senator. I do believe that we are moving on that project. It is essential, and we did talk about it. It has been a long time. I'll be the first to admit that it is unacceptable for what has happened at Waimea, and we are working as quickly as we can to remedy that situation, make it right.
Okay, well, and it's not just for Waimea. We're talking about the schools statewide.
Yes.
And making sure that, because we had this, we don't need to bring up the CIP lapsing, but this is stuff we got to get going, because this is for the kids. So,
Yes.
all right, thank you, Chair.
One more question, if I may.
Yes, go ahead.
Just to follow up on that. So this measure only applies to SFA, which only applies to Oahu, correct? Because all the neighbor islands fall under DAG still for facilities, or no, this will take the whole state?
So I believe for repair and maintenance efforts, it is between DAGS and Department of Education. But when we're looking at its overall support with, should this bill pass, or hopefully this bill does pass, then that support would be extended not only on Oahu, but also to the neighbor islands in relation to CIP and
Repair and maintenance is still fall under DAG?
on the
for neighbor
DAGS. So yes,
islands.
at this point, I believe so, yes, Senator.
Okay, so this bill does not check.
My understanding of the bill is that the functions that SFA has goes over to the DOE, so that's primarily pre-K, and there's some teacher housing
Okay.
that has really not yet got off the ground.
But it
Those
doesn't
responsibilities
change the
come-
DAG situation,
correct.
yes, so I just wanted to clear on it. The second thing I have is that Educational Facility and Real Estate Development Special Fund. So this is a new fund,
I believe, Senator, we're asking for that fund to
move over.
move over.
So currently, do you know what that fund has, how much that fund has?
I don't know the exact amount, Senator, but we can get that information for you.
I have no idea, but it's,
$1,
you know,
$10?
school impact fees are all in there and stuff like that, so. This just moves it.
So the school impact fees, you've never touched the school impact fees, correct?
That's SFA.
Yeah, but it used to be you guys.
Yes, you're right, Senator. It was with us, and I believe at that time, DOE had not leveraged those funds. It went over to SFA, you know, and we were hoping that that fund does come back to the department, and we would definitely utilize that special fund to implement educational priorities that would include, as Chair mentioned, teacher-employee housing, pre-K, you know, and really to support that efforts, such like as Ready Keiki. Ready Keiki, yes.
Well, can you guys get back as to what are the criteria for using that fund? Because I know that's been raised by councilmen, and the concern about school impact fees really relate to building of more schools. And, you know, I'm not sure that you can use it for anything regarding school needs.
Yes.
It has to be related to that more facilities, I think, than anything else. But usually when you do a special fund, it's got to be self-sustaining in a sense. So is there going to be enough money coming into this fund? Because I know there's a move to limit the school impact fees from residential
Well, I think
units
that,
as well.
if you look at the Budget and Finance's comments on the special fund, I don't think we disagree with them. There's no way that this fund is going to ever be self-sustaining, given the magnitude of what is in front of us for CIP.
Right, so then why do we
So
have a special
I
fund?
think what the intent of this bill is trying to say is, they want us to create sub-accounts in such a manner that we can account for,
Yes.
that stuff. But
Right.
it does not necessarily have to be a special fund.
But
If
it
the
says-
DOE, if the DOE were to, be required to create, as it says, sub-accounts, et cetera, to,
So then should we amend this to say development of funds within the DOE instead of saying a special fund? Because special fund has that connotation, and we
Right.
have so many special funds
Right.
placed. So I can see, keep being accountable for these funds,
Right.
but if you're not going to be able to raise money and sustain it, then it doesn't qualify as a
yeah,
special fund.
I agree with that.
Okay.
And I think the other thing about the special funds, as it's now written, it allows the governor to have access to those funds, so, we will put it in, but we don't have full control over its use as I read this. But Budget and Finance did weigh in on with comments, so.
Okay, thank you.
So does the DOE have a place to put these funds currently?
We can create a sub-account, which I think is what we want to put in the bill. right? Sub-fund.
There's one procedural thing that I just want to point out. If you look at page 11, the bottom of page 10, actually, there's a parenthetical 4, and it's talking about granting options to acquire any project or to renew any lease. And that same language is duplicated on the next page on item 5, exactly the same. But I believe that what the intent here is, in real estate, you can grant options and you can acquire options. So I think
Oh, one is
One
to
says
acquire,
acquire,
and
one
one
is
is to
to
purchase, but
purchase.
that's the same thing, purchase and acquire. You acquire by purchase, you acquire
Not
by,
always, somebody gives it to you.
yeah. Maybe we can just put to acquire and
Yeah.
yeah,
purchase. Okay, that's a good catch.
yeah. So in the purchase situation, we would not be granting, we would be acquiring that option. So
Right.
if you put
Acquire and,
acquire on 5,
and or purchase.
yes.
Okay.
Further questions, members? Thank you. Senator Hashimoto?
So I think Superintendent, when we take a look at this bill, I think it's specifically more for School Facilities Authority, but I think that there was my question really is amongst building capacity, right? I think that's the question of the day is, if we give this to you, is there enough capacity in the DOE to take on this additional role, right? We tried to give it away and, there wasn't the capacity. We give it back, is there capacity? And I know you've done a few things, but maybe you can let us know what are the things that make you confident that you can fold this back in and will be successful, right? I know you're starting the reorg process, but what things should comfort us in knowing that, now we bring this back, it's going to be a different type of, picture that we're going to see.
Thank you very much for that question, Senator. I am confident that we would be able to, should we get the responsibilities back and implement this, that we will be successful at it. It is a matter of our personnel and the positions that we have and those folks that are very much committed to doing the right work. It's part of that moving personnel around into the right seats so that they can implement, but it's also about ensuring that we have the proper processes in place. And I think over the last several months, as we've been evaluating where we are, some of those processes may have been misaligned in a bit. But it is about us working together, not only internally within the facilities office, but also working very proactively with our schools and identifying those areas of need and prioritizing that from the department side, being able to prioritize those projects and being able to share and communicate that with our partners in the legislature, as well as in BNF and with other schools. We are looking at processes such that we are enabling or we are organizing facilities that we're better able to track by complex area and monitor those projects. I think is one thing that's very important. We heard loud and clear in one of our in the WAM session about some of the concerns that were raised on tracking projects and ensuring that those projects are being monitored. And those are some of the changes that we're going to be putting in place. There are a number of processes that need to be addressed and adjusted, and we're in the process of identifying those. I'll share that in the last 2 or 3 months, I have learned a lot about facilities and our successes as well as the challenges that we face. And I am very much committed to ensuring that we do better, because our schools deserve better, and our communities do. And what has been happening cannot continue.
So I know you said previously that, you know, you want us to trust you in terms of how you are able to reorg. So are there parts of this bill that concern you that it's too prescriptive in what we're writing out in creating that office, or do you think what's written in the bill is okay?
I think it's, well, when we look as the bill speaks to the Office of Real Estate Development and the Office of School Operations and Services, that those offices, as we've looked at internally within the department, the Office of Facilities and Operation is rather large.
Right.
It deals with facilities as well as safety, transportation, food, and et cetera. And so being able to separate responsibilities definitely will help us do things a lot better and a lot quicker. I'm confident that as we move forward and we continue to work with our folks that are currently in positions, as well as seek additional supports, that's really important, that we do that, and we are on that journey. Also, working together with our board, as well as with our industry partners, and getting feedback from them on how to best utilize our efforts, and getting feedback, I think is really important, because we know what we know, but we don't know what we don't. And so that's where outside supports, can really help us.
So in the bill, we're kind of locking you into those two branches then, is what you're saying?
Yes, and I think those two branches are, it's definitely important that we're able to maneuver the additional support. Assistant superintendent and secretary will definitely aid us in helping to distribute responsibilities in the correct manner.
Okay, because this would be the only area in statute that describes what you have to do, right? Or are there other super assistants that are in statute?
No, this is I believe this is the only area.
But is
that's
there
in
special
statute.
powers that they're getting? That's why it would
No.
be important for it to be enshrined in statute?
No.
No.
So if being given the position is really important for
Right.
us, but to be able to designate and maneuver is also very important within the department.
Okay, so do you believe that we're giving you everything from SFA that was useful? Like we gave them certain abilities that the DOE, it's particularly in the housing space that we weren't doing before.
Yes.
Do you feel that everything's in there that you need to continue that? Because I think that was
I
a
believe
critical new thing that we were
Yes.
adding in, right?
I believe that is important, Senator. We're looking at, as we're able to develop employee and teacher housing
Right.
as a recruitment and retention tool
Right.
to help support our employee challenges within the department. And that having that ability definitely will help us to move forward in the right direction.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, and I think we should also point out that it was also the department that did the Ready Keiki rooms rather than SFA that was asked to do it. Thank you. I wanted to call up the Attorney General. With regard to your testimony, I think, question regarding testimony on the page 11, I mean, the bill, that AG feels it should be deleted because your office already has the ability to support the DOE.
Yes, and to the extent that we encounter something for which we don't have the appropriate expertise, and we'd have the ability through the special deputy process to go to outside counsel and retain them as special deputy attorneys general to assist on something, and our department works with them. That's something that the department already does. I think that what's in the bill is actually, it's carried over from the SFA statute. That certain powers that's under in SFA statute were placed in the bill, and that's something we actually testified against previously when the SFA statute was being enacted, but it stayed in. So we're renewing our objection that we don't think it's appropriate to, for this new office in DOE to have the ability to retain private counsel. We don't think it's necessary.
Thank you. Members, questions? And I agree. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further questions, members? If not, is that? 3328. We have one more item. Senate Bill 2975 relating to education. So this is regarding the Qualified Internship Grant Program. Sorry. Department, did you have testimony? Oh.
Good afternoon, Senator Kidani, Senator Kim, and members of the committee. Tammy Chun, Deputy Superintendent. On behalf of the Department of Education, we stand on our written testimony with comments.
Thank you. Members, questions?
I always wonder when you say comments, what exactly is your comments versus?
Yeah, I don't
support?
know if I have your comments, actually. Superintendent's comments? Yes. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, can you articulate it so the public watching kind of knows what it is you guys are talking about?
Yes, sure. The comments are that we support the opportunities for students to have additional work-based learning opportunities. Whether they come in the form that's in the bill by giving them to a nonprofit would be something the legislature could provide, but we also have additional ways that students can get these internship opportunities through Department of Education programs or in partnership with other state departments, such as the program that the Department of Labor and Industrial Relations has for student interns.
So you feel that what you have is adequate?
We feel that students can always use more opportunities. I think the question for us is not a matter of how much resources, but the mechanism that is proposed in this bill is to specifically contract with other organizations, nonprofit organizations, to provide the internships and organize the internships.
And you folks agree with that?
We would say that it could be done, so we're just commenting because we said that if the legislature provided us the funding to do it, we would carry it out because it provides more opportunities, but it's not a part of the Department of Education's board-approved request for budget for the work-based learning funds to come through this mechanism.
Got it. Okay. So it would be more uniform, or you would have more control over all the programs taken into consideration and having this adjunct program going on with the legislature funding through contracts, nonprofits, whereas it would be one of the many programs that you would have that you would be able to integrate for your students. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yes, Senator, I believe that's what I'm saying. We have a budget request in the board-approved budget to support more work-based learning opportunities. That would be funding to the department that we would administer in a variety of ways. This bill would be specifically to contract out to a nonprofit to organize those opportunities.
So you're saying you guys can do that, you just need the money?
Yes, correct. I don't believe we need the statute to specifically say that we could contract out to do it.
Thank you. We don't need any new statutes.
Thank you. Further questions, members? I think that is.
Yeah, Chair.
Oh,
A
Senator?
question for labor.
I guess that's you.
Well, let me, if I should testify first, anyway.
Oh, okay.
Aloha, Chair Kidani, Chair Kim, members of the committee, David Rodriguez with the Department of Labor and Industrial Relations. We stand by our written comments, but note our opposition to the sub-minimum wage language in the bill. And I'm here to answer any questions.
What was your opposition on?
I'm sorry, on the sub-minimum
It's below the minimum.
language.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so
Caught
it should
that.
codify
At
with
14,
Fair Labor FLSA.
which is $14.
I'm sorry?
Talking about the amount
Right, correct.
from 12, it should be 14. Correct. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair, that was actually my question about 12 versus 14, and wasn't the intent of DOE to attract potential employment opportunities by a sub minimum wage? And I can understand your hesitation on a sub minimum wage, but is that the intent? I was curious why we're going to try and codify $12 instead of 14. So I don't know, that's a DOE question probably. But Chair, I don't know if you want to get through testimony first.
Yeah, go ahead, if you can
Okay.
answer the question, since we're on the subject.
Yeah, reasoning for the $12 versus the minimum wage.
We are requesting that it be raised to at least the minimum wage. We
Okay.
do not, we don't support the sub-minimum
Okay,
wage.
all right, thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here wishing to provide testimony? Uchi.
Good afternoon, Chair Kidani, Vice Chair Kim, members, and Horiuchi Department of the Attorney General. And I apologize if you don't have our testimony. I'll be sure to send copies after the hearing. But what we noted in our testimony is that the bill doesn't appear to have adequate standards by which the DOE or the contracted third-party administrator is to distribute the grants. So we recommend that the bill be amended to insert sufficient standards for the DOE or the third-party administrator to distribute the funds to eligible businesses and organizations who wish to participate in the program. In our testimony, we've attached draft standards, and we'd be happy to work with the committee on amending the bill as needed. I'm available for questions. Thank you.
Questions, members?
Yeah, so if this bill is not needed and the DOE can do this and we provide them with funding, is this still a concern of yours?
No, I think we're just concerned that what's created, this program that's created doesn't
Have that
give any
work.
definition as to how the DOE or the nonprofit, the contracted third-party administrator, how they would distribute the
Because
state
DOE
funds.
already has that standards in with their programs now.
My understanding is that yes, they would.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Aloha Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Laverne Moore speaking on behalf of Osa Tui, President of the Hawaii State Teachers Association. He submitted a written testimony, and we support this bill. And we sent on our written testimony, and I just want to mention that I have 2 teacher assistants in my class that volunteers at the Kapiolani Medical Center. And I can attest that work-based learning is really, really important, and they're succeeding well, and they want to become nurses. So thank you very much for the opportunity to testify.
Thank you.
Aloha Chair Kidani, Vice Chair Kim, and members of the committee. I'm David Sanmiyashiro, Executive Director of Hawaii Kids Can. Hawaii Kids Can stands on our written testimony in strong support of SB 2975 with a few notes. Work-based learning provides an opportunity for students to build their skills and connections in collaboration with our diverse community of local employers. SB 2975 ensures that more of our employers and students can participate in these partnerships. By supporting employers, especially small to medium-sized businesses, with grants, they can reinvest funding back into compensating interns and providing high-quality supervision and training. Hawaii has a number of work-based learning intermediaries that can help facilitate these grants. We also note that existing internship programs through agencies like DLIR are only available to those with a high school diploma or equivalent. I will note that one of the reasons we support this bill is we have heard from local employers, again, the small to medium-sized businesses, that unless they have an existing partnership with a school or a career academy, it can be very difficult for them to offer those internship experiences. So while the DOE should be praised for the work that it's already doing, I do think more diverse pathways for students to find a high-quality internship that meets their interest, I think will be really valuable as you really try to get more of our kids those critical experiences by the time that they graduate. Happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, David.
Aloha, Chair Kidani, Vice Chair Kim, and Senators, thank you so much for having us today. Eliza Talbot with the Chamber of Commerce Hawaii. I just want to echo the testimony of David with Hawaii Kids Can. We completely agree with that, and would also add that this is an important opportunity for students to be involved in a small business, in a medium-sized business, and learn about entrepreneurship as well, which we also think is very important. And in relation to the DOE and the AG's amendments, we support those and completely understand where they're coming from. And so we also submitted testimony in writing. I don't know if you guys got it, I hope so. There was also testimony from a student in support of this, and he is someone that we're working with at the Chamber of Commerce, and he's very supportive of this as well. So I'm here to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, questions? Thank you. DLIR, did you have further testimony that you wanted to provide? Thank you. Anyone else here wishing to give testimony? Is Lauren Zerbel on Zoom?
Not present on Zoom, Chair.
I didn't see her name. Thank you. Members, if there's no further questions,
No questions for Tammy?
Okay.
So Tammy, the testimony you just heard is saying that if you don't have a relationship with DOE, it's difficult to get internships. You have a comment on that response?
I don't have a specific response to that. I do think that it does take some steps to set up internship between students and other organizations. There's always liability and safety and training to be considered. So there is some paperwork involved. The intermediaries, nonprofit organizations, sometimes like the Chamber or Healthcare Association of Hawaii, can be helpful in coordinating that with businesses, especially small ones. So that's useful. I do think that we are able to currently contract with organizations without needing statute to be able to do so.
Okay, and you would, with the funding, you would be able to reach out to more of these nonprofits and so forth, and
Yes,
just a
some
concern
of-
that was raised.
Yes, some of our complex areas already do have those relationships.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Further questions, members? If not, let's go into recess. All right, reconvening the Committee on Education. The recommendation of the chair is going to be to defer Senate Bill 2061. With regard to Senate Bill 3328, we are going to pass with amendments adopting the testimony of the Attorney General to repeal HRS Section 8417C, Paragraph 13, and also defecting the date to July 1, 2050. Is that it? And also deferring Senate Bill 2. Oh, okay.
So voting on Senate Bill 3328 to pass with amendments, Chair votes aye, Vice Chair votes aye, Senator Hashimoto. Aye. Senator Richards.
Aye.
Senator Favela. Aye. 5 ayes, recommendation is adopted.
Thank you. And for Senate Bill 2975, recommendation is to defer.
Can I clarify one thing on 2061? We hope that the department will get back to us as far as, what incentives can we do to get the bus drivers? If it is a subsidy, then what would that subsidy look like?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, members. Meeting's adjourned.